we're here with Michael Durant. He's the owner of Creating Genius Branding. They're working directly with MadKanna. It's a THCA e-commerce selling pre-rolls and flowers.
Yes, Michael Durant with Creating Genius. I thought it would be easy, and I didn't realize what the restricted market looked like. So it was a uphill battle. We got it done, but we ran into the one major roadblock. I think most people in the industry in the space online is going to be online sales, we had to find all the ways around. And the biggest hurdle was after we was ready to go, we started hitting a whole lot of roadblocks when we tried to do Facebook ads. And because we thought it's THCA is legal, that doesn't mean that, Meta sees it the same way. That doesn't mean that you can sell the same way online. So we had to go through social media, and it was one of the biggest roadblocks that we face.
So if you can give us some kind of overview of what are the results that you were getting, and if you are able to track those results that you've been getting from the campaigns that we've been helping you to set up.
Sergio, you guys helped us with a script. We shot some videos. It wasn't 13 videos. We worked on one video. And I think sometimes when we're doing stuff, we try to do all these big things, but it was like, let's do this. Here's a template that we know that works. Do this, launch it, and just see what happens. And within the first, I think we did a test run. We say, okay, let's just try like $650. And within that first month, that $650 gave us, I think we had 4,000 in sales, which is a crazy increase. And we still had to work on our shopping cart just to make sure, because we could see that we was getting the sales. And if from that point, I think Sergio had came in and say, okay, he went through the board and said, look, Michael, this is what I want you to be looking at. Every time you're looking at it, look at these conversions, look at the shopping cart. I think a lot of marketing companies, who cares if you get me a whole lot of leads, but they're falling off and you can't tell me where they're falling off at. And that's what I liked about working with Sergio, that he was able to, even just your team, like just being able to help me figure out the points of conversions and fix those. To me, everybody can talk about and get you a lot of traffic, or, you get a lot of possible, leads, but if they're falling off at the shopping cart, then you guys could easily say, well, I've done my job. But yeah, I didn't do that. So that was greatly appreciated. Just, and once we ran those tests, we knew what we needed to do next. All of our stuff being approved. And basically within that, even just within the first month, seeing our impressions, our clicks, and our actual to cart increase, I would say at least 55% in a few days. Honestly, it started happening very quickly. It didn't take us 30 days. We start seeing sales honestly within about a week of the sale. I mean,
how did you feel when you saw the first one?
Oh, it always feels good when you hear the cha-ching part.
The cha-ching part.
That always feels good to see. Honestly, it's not just the money. It's seeing that you had an idea that was actually able to come to reality and it produces something, and there's someone on the other end that's saying yes. You can make a lot, but it's something about that point of someone saying yes to what you put out, and especially if it's a great product. And we got great reviews, and a lot of people love the product. But to see them say yes by putting their dollar where they were to it, that was a big thing.
Before we knew each other, like what you guys were doing to actually drive traffic to the e-commerce and convert sales?
Being honest, we weren't. There was no sales coming in. We were, before running the ads, we were being literally, every ad we put out was being blocked. So every time we launched it, go through the approval process, we came back the next day, it was basically denied. That was our way of trying to do it organically, and that wasn't working. So we knew we had to turn to the social media side of doing, the ad side. Now, we've done magazine ads. We've also done affiliates that were influencers and different things like that. But as we was talking to a lot of the influencers, they wanted a lot of money up front with no proof of that they can actually bring in what they say they were. So we couldn't track that data. We actually went to one of the biggest, I won't say their name, but one of the biggest cannabis podcasters out there, but what they wanted in the upfront money with no rate of return besides being on their show, I mean, we couldn't spend that much money without the data. So I was like, man, we got to do something. And luckily, you guys actually came in. Y'all were always in communication with us. And sometimes it wasn't, we're just asking questions because you guys have been in, you have seen a lot of different businesses. So just knowing that I've worked with a lot of marketing companies. I've run a marketing side of our business. And the one thing that made me like working with you guys is that you didn't nickel and dime everything just to even answer a question. There's some companies that's charging you by the hour just to even ask a question. And that was big for me, that you wanted to actually see us succeed. And if someone is deciding, like, if you've been throwing money at the wall, if nothing else, if you've invested in anything to get your company off the ground, you spend all this money on product, you spend all this money on branding, you're not willing to spend it on someone that knows what they're doing, and I think you should just kind of go back and do something else. So I highly recommend you guys. You never know what can happen when you just say, hey, let's get on the call and see what these guys are like. And honestly, it changed a lot for us, and I appreciate it.